Okay, we have game 4 here, but this one is a little bit different because I didn't record this for some reason, and I had to ask my opponent SCSN for his end of the recording. So what you're watching is his side, but I'll try to explain my side, which is what you'll see not in his hand but on the table. Anyways, so the board, right, is university, and there's a lot of targets for university, so I think you want to go for that. Cultist, I think, is number one, then Hunting Party. Lost City is great as well. Hunting Party will sort of be strictly like a lab with all the ruins, but lab is still good, right? So the opening here seems to be fairly straightforward. I think you want a storeroom and a potion. Storeroom for the cycling, and you could never not have two potion with the storeroom in play because you could always discard for money. So that seems to be standard, and then you want to use the storeroom to cycle as much as possible to find your university. University is essential here, not just to get cultists, but also to control piles near the end of the game, because you can already envisage this game ending on piles, right? All the ruins will run out for sure, all the hunting parties, and cultists will presumably be low. So it is going to be a piles thing. You just have to pay attention to it here. One thing I thought about on this board is that Miser, there could be enough time for Miser actually, and it could mop up your deck from could mop up the coppers out from your deck. I mean, I know I said it'll end on piles, but I still think there's enough time for Miser to get some value out of it. Maybe 3 or 4 coin tokens. Well, 3 or 4 coppers and your mat coin tokens is something else, right? Because you don't actually need a lot of money in this game. You just need 2 potions to buy a couple universities, and then you're off to the races that way. You just need to find those universities to get all your nice things. So that's why I thought Miser had some potential in this game, and I do pick up one at some point here. You'll see it eventually. And right, so you see the first use of Scouting Party from my opponent here. That is also going to be a big deal to get around to university as quickly as possible. Not just a university, your cultists as well. So we'll see how things go. There's the turn. I believe I pick up the Miser on 4. I didn't really want anything else on 4. That second storeroom maybe, but I think the one for now is enough. I don't even have like that many plus actions yet. I want to use my universities. Well, to play the one storeroom and to play the Miser, obviously, and now cultist as we gain them here. So there's not a lot going on in the first part of this game except trying to buy universities and trying to play universities to get cultists down, and hoping that your university lines up with your cultist. You don't even care if your university lines up with your cultist. That's nice, but you rather see your cultist as soon as possible to try and junk them. You want your cultists to come together, really. So I think for this part here, for the most part, anything less than 5 is just going to be a scouting party. There's nothing else that I want on the board anymore. I have my Miser, and I mean, I may want a bishop later, but that's later, as much later into the game. So I think I have 2 or 3 universities at this point, and my opponent has the same. They pick up another cultist here, as you can see, and another storeroom. So here, just going to get as many cultists as is reasonable. Reasonable meaning if there are very few ruins left and I can't, and the additional cultists don't help me dish out the ruins, then I'm not going to pick up cultists. I'd much rather pick up Hunting Party or Lost City for that matter. Lost City won't be terrible at all. It's never terrible. Lost City is a good card. And there you see my first Miser come out. So we have 1 copper on the mat, right? And we're hoping for 6 more in quick time. I don't think you'll get to 6. Like 5 is plenty, I think, in this kind of game here. Alright. So another university from my opponent. They're going very hard for these universities. And I always have hesitation in picking up universities. I never know how much is enough universities. I think 2 or 3 here should be enough, I think, because there's a lot of draw in your Hunting Party, and your Lost City. And Lost City also gives you plus actions. You don't need the university for plus actions, which would be the reason to go for like 5 or 6 of them. But you don't need that. And Cultist is even better because if you chain them, they just use up one action throughout. Right, so you'll see very soon here that this game is actually a tragedy for me because I end up making some plays that lose me the game. I don't want to give excuses for my play, but it's very unbecoming of me to make these kind of plays here. So hopefully I can spot it here soon enough. One of them is just terrible. It's just game losing. I misclick on the storeroom. Right, so I thought I was discarding for coins, but instead I discarded for cards. And one, I triggered a nasty reshuffle. Well, the reshuffle wasn't bad, right? The reshuffle was okay, but what I drew off the reshuffle was terrible. I drew like 2 hunting parties, 2 universities, and 2 cultists of the 6 cards that I discarded. So that has to mean that in the remaining 15-20 cards on my deck, there's absolute rubbish in there. So what I was forced to do was pick up 3 scouting parties just to try to cycle through my deck. So that definitely put me back a turn at least. At least a turn it put me back there. And then you'll see very near the end here a sloppy play by me. I mean, part of it was a sloppy play and part of it was a misclick, right? So I was hovering over the universities, trying to think about whether or not I want to buy these universities, and then, you know, my finger had a little extra weight in it, so then it clicked the university button for me, and then I ended up buying the penultimate university with just 1 cultist left in the pile and the ruins empty, and my opponent having a lead from the bishop. So here, this is the storeroom thing, and you'll see in the log there, if it's clear enough, the kind of cards that I discard, and I have 6 and I just have to cycle just to have any hope of doing anything. And I mean, I wasn't like totally lost in this game at all. Like, I think the chances were fairly even. Maybe my deck was even a little bit better because I managed to get rid of 4 coppers from it and I had the miser around. I don't know. I don't know. My opponent had the bishop before me and was able to get a point of the bishop, as you'll see here. But I definitely had some chance in this game had I not messed up. So there, I was the first mess up turn with the storeroom and not paying attention to, you know, the role of the storeroom at that particular time. And then at the end of this turn, I'll come up with 3 potion and deliberate on my choices while my mouse is above the buy university button. So, I mean, I suppose that's a lesson in itself, right? If you're thinking, move your mouse away from any card so you don't accidentally buy things. So here you see this is really the final nail in the coffin for me here, buying this penultimate university. I didn't need it. I didn't need it. I could have get Lost Cities, but I could have got a scouting party here. I picked it up and then my opponent saw the opportunity for a win, going for the last cultist and just searching his deck for the potion to buy the last university and pick up the win off the point from the bishop. So that is game 4, a bit tragic for me, but I mean, I guess it happens if you play 5 hours of Dominion on the trot. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you in the next game.